it's Marissa, and today I have a really fun video for you guys. So this video has been probably one of my most requested videos like all year. So first off, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys are subscribed. I upload a new video every single Monday, so join the fam and hit the subscribe button down below. It's free, and make sure you guys click the bell next to it so you can be notified exactly when I upload. Also, make sure if you guys are new here or if you're old here and you just haven't done it yet, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. So I will have my Snapchat right here and then my Instagram and Twitter at the bottom right here. I am on those the most since I'm only here once a week. I did ask you guys on Instagram to be interactive with this video, which I do with a lot of my videos, so make sure for sure you guys are following me on my Instagram. Anyway, today we are going to be doing a basically how to move out, or how to move out of state specifically is kind of what we're going to be focusing on, but just in general how to move out of your house, I guess. This has been so requested. If you guys don't know, I'm originally from Ohio, and about, I'd say like 9 months now, almost 10 months actually, wow, that's crazy. I moved to Las Vegas, so yeah, so I've been here almost 10 months. But this is actually not my first time moving out of state. I moved to Florida, like, it was almost like 3-4 years ago now. Literally, I had just turned 20. I was like 19, turning 20 when I moved to Florida. But yeah, so I kind of have some experience. Am I an expert? Absolutely not, so don't come at me. But this is just like things that I have learned, because first of all, when I moved to Florida when I was 20, I did everything wrong. Everything. Literally everything you could do wrong, I probably did wrong. Ended up moving back to Ohio like 9 months later, not even a whole year. And yeah, so when I moved out here, I was way more prepared just from like experiencing that, and it's been a lot smoother. So that's why I was like, you know what, I feel a little bit better about making a video like this because I feel a little more experienced to be giving any sort of advice. But yeah, so I'm just gonna like start off with, I mean, that's kind of my whole situation story, but I'm just gonna go through like the advice that I would give you guys, and then at the end I have a little like Q&A of questions that you guys specifically wanted answered. So I'll insert a timestamp somewhere on the screen so that you can just skip to the Q&A. Yeah, I'm just gonna get into like my advice on kind of like the game plan that you really should have if you think you're gonna you want to move away. So number one is to figure out where you want to move. Do you want to move 30 minutes away? Do you want to move? I moved across the country, because where you move is going to have a big effect on, one, the amount of planning you're going to have to do. If you're only moving 30 minutes away or an hour away or like 4 hours away, it's a lot less work than if you are moving across the country. So make sure you figure out like where you want to move. Also, I would figure out, oh my god, is that my head? I was literally like, what is that? And it's my bun. Oh my god. I literally just freaked out. Anyway, yeah, what was I saying? It literally freaked me out. I was like, there's a ghost. Figure out also why you want to move there. I mean, I am all for just picking up and moving for no freaking reason. Make sure it at least makes a little bit of sense in your life, because I think when I moved to Florida, it didn't make a lot of sense for my life, which is why it didn't work out so well. So when I picked Las Vegas, I made sure that it made a little bit more sense with what I want. Also, visit the area you want to move. I would never suggest moving blindly somewhere unless you had like a job offer or something already set up and like you had like a more specific reason to move there. But definitely go visit the area. Before I moved to Las Vegas, I had been here maybe like 3-4 times. I did the same thing when I moved to Orlando. I had been there like, I think like 2-3 times, maybe 3 times, and also do a lot of research on it. I wouldn't let the internet completely scare you away though, because I mean, if you Google Las Vegas, there's like a lot of negative things about living here, but I do really like it. So just like do a little research, but I would also go in person and visit it, because, you know, like, are you gonna vibe well there? Like, you'll never know that from researching on the internet. Yeah, so go visit in person to see if you like a vibe with the place originally, but then also go and do some research. What are good areas? I would do research like this first and then go visit the areas. So like, what are good areas to live in where you're moving, what's an average price that you should be paying for like apartments. So, because I mean, if people know you're out of state, some places will really try to finesse you. So make sure that you know like what you're talking about. I did so much research before moving to Vegas, and I am so happy because I actually love the area that I live in. Like, can you guys hear that? That is so loud. They're never this loud. Hello? So just make sure that you at least feel comfortable in the place that you are going to be living. Step number 2 is to make a budget of how much it would realistically cost for you. I can't talk. Number 2 is to make a budget of how much it would realistically cost for you to live there. So now that you kind of know the average price, like how much is gas, how much is food, like rent, your car payment, like do you have a car payment, are you living in New York City where you don't need a car, like, you know what I mean? Like, budget these things so you can have like a realistic picture of like, okay, this is how much it would cost for me to live there, because there's some places that you might not be able to afford, you know? I know I originally wanted to move to LA, and I was like, there's no way that I could realistically afford to live there and make like a good budget. If you go, I always say go like a couple $100s more than what you think, just in case. Then you can start figuring out, all right, like, can I keep my old job and just transfer it? Is it a possibility for you to transfer your old job, or do you work for a place that you can't transfer? Do you need a brand new job? What kind of job do you need? Is it a job that you can like realistically get, you know? So yeah, so then you start doing like those sort of things. Luckily for me personally, I was able to just transfer my job. Then COVID hit, and that's a whole different story that hopefully would never happen to anyone, because I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, because I really moved worst time ever. When I moved to Florida, with no job and got a job when I got there. So I mean, that I know how it goes both ways. We're gonna go into number 2. This is number 2. Well, no, this is number 3. I think this is number 3. This is the very most important thing ever. Set a savings goal, a realistic goal. So what I would suggest to everyone is to have at least 3 months. So the original number that you budgeted, that like, okay, this is what I'm going to need, 3 months, like this is what I'm gonna need monthly for like rent, food, gas, car insurance, whatever the heck you have to pay for. Like when you were trying to think of like the budget that you would have when you lived there, take that number and times it by 3. So that way you have 3 months of backup, even if you are transferring, okay, your job, and it's going to be a smooth transition. Trust me. Just as a savings tip, you should always have that in your savings account, but especially if you are moving, you want that number in there, because anything could happen. You could move and then a pandemic could hit and you could lose your job and never get unemployment. Haha, that happened to me. Anyway, but like literally if I did not have that savings account, I would not have made it. I don't know what would have happened, to be honest with you. Thank God I had a savings account when I moved out here, because fun fact, when I moved to Florida, I literally moved with like $1,000 to my name. I don't know why. I was 20 years old and stupid. Like when I tell you guys I did everything wrong moving to Florida, I really did. I'm surprised I made it 9 months out there. Guys, if you take anything from this video, please take that, because I am telling you firsthand, anything could happen. The last thing I ever thought in my life that would happen when I moved happened. So like, just take my advice, okay? I would suggest, so that is like bare minimum what you should save. Also factor in, like I said in the beginning, where you are moving and how much it's going to cost you to move there. So moving out here, I didn't bring any furniture. So if that's the case too, if you're not taking any furniture, if you don't own any furniture, if it's the first time you're moving out of your parents and maybe you have nothing, factor in that stuff too. Like what are you going to want to start out with? I didn't have a living room for a few months, more than a few months, like 8 months. But like I knew I had to buy a bed. I knew I would have wanted a nightstand. Like I knew the things that were like essential for me to have. Do you have any kitchen supplies? Like stuff like that. So furniture, add up that. Like how much are you going to want for that? Some people want to buy all their furniture at once? Are you going to buy it slowly? Whatever. Just like make a plan of like how much you want to have for furniture. Should be another chunk of savings. Going with the 3 months of backup money. This should be more extra money. Go into how much is it going to cost you to get out there. Okay, so originally when I moved out here, I was going to just ship my car and then fly out here. Would have probably been a much easier time, but whatever. This is a whole nother thing, I actually got a brand new car instead of that because my old car just wouldn't have really made it out here if I drove it. That's why I was going to ship it, and then I decided to buy a brand new car instead of taking my old car just to have like something reliable out here. So I got a brand new car and then decided to drive it out here, but I mean it's a really far drive from Ohio to Las Vegas. It's like 30 something hours. Obviously there's stops in there, so that's like hotel prices, gas prices, budget those sort of things as well. Are you shipping your car? That's a different price. Are you flying out here? Are you selling your car, flying out here, buying a new car? Do you need no car, so you're just flying and it's just a ticket? And like, but how are you getting your stuff here? Are you getting a U-Haul? Like some people, if you have like a whole furnished apartment and you're moving, you're gonna want to rent a U-Haul. That's a couple $100s to drive a U-Haul across the country or state to state, whatever. But it just depends. Some people, if you're moving 4 hours away, it's going to be a lot cheaper than if you're moving somewhere else. If you're shipping your car and flying, just do the math on what's the best for you and do the math realistically of how much it's going to cost you to get out there. So that is another chunk of money. So once you have all those 3 things added up, that should be your savings goal. Then you go into budgeting on how to save. If you want a whole video, guys, on how to save money, you know, I can do a video on that as well. Yeah, so once you have your savings goal, make sure you meet it. You come up with a whole budget on how you meet it before you move. That, like I said, would be a whole different video because that's long. That's basically all the knowledge that you guys would need, that I at least used moving out this time. Like I said, the first time I didn't do any of that. I had $1,000. I said, let's go. Don't recommend. 10 out of 10 do not recommend at all. My very last thing that I wanted to say before we get into the Q&A is just freaking do it. So those are the like real steps. Everybody gets so freaked out like when you start talking about how much money it costs and stuff like that. Like people really are like, oh my god, how did you afford to do that, blah blah blah. And like honestly guys, it's pretty easy to save money when you want something really bad. So like that part was pretty easy for me. I worked my ass off. I worked 3 jobs. You guys know if you've been here for the whole journey. I worked 3 jobs for like a year and I just worked my ass off and saved my ass off. That part came pretty naturally to me. I think the hardest part is like the emotional part of it. Answer some of this in like the Q&A because some of you guys were asking about it too, but that is definitely the hardest part for me, especially like the month before I moved. I just remember I was a mess. Like I go through my Snapchat memories and it's just videos of me crying, and I was like, why am I crying? I've wanted this for so long. But even because I wanted it, like, doesn't mean that it's not like a huge like emotionally like draining change in your life. Like it is a huge step. It's an amazing step, but like it is gonna be emotional, so also like prepare yourself for that and don't let it discourage you. Especially like the couple days like right before I moved, I just remember like my just stomach being like twisted for days, like just like, oh my god, what am I doing? Let the fear get to you because it's a power move, guys. Like whenever I like get in my head and be like, oh, I can't do this, blah blah blah, I'm like, bitch, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You literally picked up your whole life and moved to a brand new state by yourself. Like you could do whatever you want. Like nobody could tell me shit, honestly. Not a lot of people could do it, but like I'm here to tell you that you can. Just don't let the fear get to your head. The crazy thing about life is you can pick up and move across the country. You can hate it and pick up and move right the fuck back home, you know? So like don't let the fear of like all of it scare you away. Get into the Q&A. Thank you guys so much, everyone that asked me questions. I kind of just lumped them together. I got a lot of the same questions. Okay, so number 1, I got how to apply for an apartment without a job yet / out of state. So this I think is so important. So if you are going out of state. Now what I did is, like I said, you should go visit around the area that you want to move. So I had been to Vegas a few times before moving out here, but I wanted to come out specifically to look at apartments. Found the areas I wanted to move, apartments in those areas that I wanted to move, and when I came out here, I like rented a car one day and me and my friend went and we looked around at apartments. So I had actually toured apartments in the rental car. I do recommend it just because it's a lot easier, but especially due to COVID and stuff right now, it's kind of hard, and you can do a lot of things online. So just do hella research, find a good apartment, and it's pretty easy. So if you are applying, you can apply with whatever job that you have. So even though your job's in Ohio, you can still apply with that job. This sounds shitty, but you can just lie and tell them that you're transferring it. They're never gonna really know. If you want to do, guys, let me know if you want a whole video on like how to just move out of your parents' house versus like how to move out of state, because moving out of state is a little bit more complex than moving out of your parents' house. Luckily nowadays, like I said, most things are online, so I did the application process online and talked to them over the phone, and pretty much had, for the majority of it, everything set up before I even got out here. Alright, so this is probably my most asked question, and I understand, is how to make friends. This has been something that I really struggled with actually in Florida, and I think that I've been a lot more successful with it since moving out here. So I feel like I have a little like good tips for you guys, kind of. First thing first, I think I've said this in a video, have the expectation of being lonely. When I first moved to Florida, I was so like young, naive. I was like, I want to move so bad out of Ohio. I'm not gonna even care. Like, I'm gonna be so happy that I moved that I'm just not gonna like be sad about missing my friends and family back home. Like, I'm gonna be fine, like blah blah blah, you know. And like the homesickness, I never really let myself feel it, so then it just like ate at me. Here I had a much better idea that like it is not that simple. You are going to be lonely. There are nights that you are going to be sad and miss your friends and miss your family, and like that you're just gonna be lonely. Like, that's just part of it. Honestly, I have not gotten to the point where I don't feel like that anymore. Not every day that I feel like that, but it's definitely some days are harder than others. So just first off, have the expectation that you are going to feel lonely regardless how many friends you have. It's just not home, you know what I mean? My tips for making friends. So I have met some friends here that I'm not still friends with. I've met some great people out here. I've met some not great people out here. Just one, stay true to who you are. It is like a culture shock depending on where you're moving, but people out here on the West Coast are very different from Ohio. They are just a little bit more real. Like, when people say like, oh my god, people on the West Coast are fake, I really believe it. Like, I never thought they were. I thought they were talking like the lip injections and stuff. No, people out here are like materialistic and just will use you for stuff. Like, I don't know. I know not everybody out here is like that, and I've met some really genuine people out here, but I've also met some really not genuine people out here. True to who you are. Do not change yourself for people, because you're gonna feel lost. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, the people that are around you and support you and that you're so used to aren't there anymore, so it's really just you. And like, when you move to a different state, you really get to know yourself a lot. So just stay true to who you are. You're gonna eventually find the right group of people that are going to vibe with who you are and love who you are and, you know, appreciate you the same way that your friends back home do. You really just need to get out of the house and you just want to have some fun with some girls, have girl time, whatever. I discovered this app when I lived in Florida, and I used it like the last couple weeks that I lived there, but I knew I was moving home already, so I didn't really use it that much. So when I first moved out here, I had remembered it, and I was like, oh my god, this might work. It sounds so dumb, but I promise you guys, it really has changed. It really has benefited me since moving out here. It is called, now it's called Bumble, so I'm sure you guys have heard of Bumble. It's like a dating app, but they have a feature on there where you can change it from dating to, it's called Bumble BFF. Guys, at first I thought it was just going to be a bunch of weirdos on there, but it's really not. I met some really great girls off there. Some of them aren't gonna, like, they're not all gonna be your BFFs, but like, you'll find some girls that'll just like invite you to go get drinks or like go get dinner, just something to get you guys out of the house. And I have met more people through meeting people on there, if that makes sense. Like, I've gone out with girls from there and then met people through those people, if that makes sense. But yeah, so it really does work. Just remember, with any dating app, anything like that, to be safe, because you never know. So just take precautions and like be safe, because I don't want to tell you guys, go, yeah, Bubble BFF is totally safe, and then you go to some random person's house and it's not the girl on the app. So like, be safe, meet them first, like out at like a public restaurant, drive yourself, you know, like meet there, like just be safe type of stuff. I recommend it. Also, this is a really weird thing that I do, so nobody judge me, but on Instagram, I will, this is so embarrassing. I feel embarrassed saying this, but it's okay. I will go off of, like, let's say like the few people that I did meet, like from the app or something, or like work or whatever. Work is a great way to meet friends too. I would go and I would find people that they follow that are also from Las Vegas, and I would follow them. And hope to meet Instagram friends. But I've actually met a lot of friends through Instagram, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, we live in an age nowadays where like social media is so awesome that you can meet people through, I've met friends from Twitter. Like literally, I've met a lot of girls from social media, so I recommend that too, even though that is really weird. Who the fuck cares? I don't care. You know what? Judge me. Just also be open. I know I always get really nervous when I hang out with someone like that I've never hung out with before. I'm like, what if it's weird? I don't know if I want to actually go. Like, I don't know. But just force yourself to like get out of your comfort zone and go. How did you feel the first 2 weeks of moving? I love this question. The first 2 weeks, honestly, like the first month, I'd say, was extremely emotional. There were times that I would literally be on a high of like, oh my god, I'm in a different state, like this is insane, I'm doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. And there would be times where I was on a major low of like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, did I just ruin my life? Like, why did I think this was a good idea? Like, oh my god, like just like everywhere. Like emotions were everywhere. I promise you guys, after the first month or two, it gets a little bit easier. Like I said, there are still days where I am just completely off and like not feeling great, and just like lonely and like homesick basically. Push through the bad days, and there are still good days, and there's still days where I'm just like, this was the best choice of my life. But the first 2 weeks were just like pure emotion of like, the world is hitting you that you are several thousand miles away from your home. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, just like push through that. It does get easier. I don't know if it goes away, but it does get a lot easier. Okay, next question. Did you know anyone in the state that you were moving? No. So when I moved to Florida, I did know people in Florida. So I did have some family out in Florida when I moved. I didn't live with them. I lived like 3 hours away, but just knowing that you have someone in that state does help. So it was a little bit easier for me there, but also, like I said, I wasn't as good at making friends. I also wasn't legally able to drink. So I think the fact that I'm legally able to drink and like go to a bar and go out makes making friends a lot easier here. I guess I knew absolutely no one, no friends, no family, nobody. So I'm just telling you guys, if I can do it, you can do it, because I am nothing special in that way. I just put my mind to it and just wanted to do it, so I did it. That's basically it. Like, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work. So yeah, so you don't need to know anyone. You can do it all by yourself. And yeah. So last question, because I have a feeling this video is really long and I've talked so much. Is I'm scared to leave my family and my job and start all over. So this is what I was saying, it is so scary. It is literally so scary. It has to be something that you really, really, really want to do. I have met some people that think that they want to move to a different state to just like, oh, they're going through something personal, they want to move to a different state and escape it. I don't think personally that that is the best idea. I think it needs to be something that you really like are super passionate about. I knew for my career that like Ohio just wasn't it for me. Like, there's so many more opportunities out here, just in Las Vegas, California, just on the West Coast in general for me, that like for me it wasn't a question. It was like, yes, I'm so scared, but like I have to do this, because I felt this like emptiness in Ohio of like, I need to get out of here. But yeah, if you really want it bad enough, it will make those things a little bit easier to, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What is the right word? To, I don't want to say get past, but I guess to like make you feel better about doing it. There's a word that I'm looking for, but I don't know it, but you guys know what I mean. That is the entire video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If there are any questions that you wanted answered that I didn't answer, let me know as a comment and I will get back to all of you guys. And make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so you can see my video next. What are you doing? I was playing with the paper and now she's playing with it. But yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed so you can see my video next Monday. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. Peace out.